Live. Yes. Hi everyone. I hope I'm live on Instagram. Am I live on Instagram? All right. Yes, I'm live now. Hi everyone. Um, this is Ifeoma Odunalami, immigration attorney from the Odunalami Law Firm. And today I have an exciting topic for you. So I'm going to be appearing on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And so when you see me, looking in all directions, I'm just positioning my face for the camera. So I'm going to wait for some people to show up because this is a really interesting topic. You guys need to be a part of this. So as you come in, please let me know where you're signing in from. Introduce yourself, and so that I know that I'm not here alone. So, guys, this is really exciting topic. USCIS is approving a lot of marriage-based applications without an interview. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ifeoma Odunalami. For those that do not know me, my law firm is in New Jersey, but I serve clients in all 50 states. I am an immigrant myself, so my passion and my mission and my honor is to assist fellow immigrants in getting their green cards with as little stress as possible. The immigration process is really stressful. We all know that. But having an attorney who cares and who is compassionate helps that process. So, hi, Alaji. Nice to see you. How are you? And hi, Shafraz. Thank you guys for joining in. This is going to be a really exciting topic because it's actually a topic that has some good news for once. So the good news is that USCIS has been approving a lot of marriage interviews a lot of marriage applications without an interview. And why is this good news? Well, it's good news because for a lot of people, that interview process is, is very, is very stressful, very worrying, and can actually derail their immigration application. And the reason is because, they ask you a lot of questions about your spouse. And I personally feel that some of these questions are unfair because they expect you to know things that your spouse may actually be hiding from you, because people hide things from their significant others because they feel that it doesn't put them in a good light, right? So for instance, your spouse had a child in a previous relationship that they never actually, maybe they're not in contact with the child, or they have nothing to do with the child, and you never knew about this child. But you go for an interview with USCIS and they ask you about that. And of course, maybe your spouse wants to be honest because he's under oath and he says, yes, I have a child. And you're hearing that for the first time. And you're like, what? And USCIS is like, oh my goodness, it's a fraudulent marriage, because how do you not know that? But it makes sense. People hide things, especially criminal behavior. So if your spouse has been arrested before, that's not like something they're likely to want to share with you. But you get penalized for not knowing that your spouse has a criminal past. And I feel that's really unfair. And even some of the questions they ask you, very detailed. How many tattoos do you have? How many scars? I mean, my husband has scars on his body that I probably have never noticed because I'm not thinking about it, right? But does that mean that it's not a real relationship? No. So when you ask some of these questions, you're asking people who are already nervous as they're appearing before you. And when you're nervous, remember, sometimes anxiety can even make you more forgetful. So having to put your paperwork through without having to get and go through an interview is something that you guys should do. And this is a good time to put in your marriage application. So if you're one of those who's been kind of, trying to, do it at a later time, wait for 1,001 things that you think you can do later, I'm urging you to do it now, because all of us attorneys were really shocked when we sent noticing that a lot of our interviews were being approved without, a lot of our marriage petitions were being approved without an interview, right? And a lot of times it doesn't happen, especially in I-751 cases, because the prior administration actually changed the policy to make it such that every I-751 was, there was an interview. People that came in with consular processing had to be interviewed, but all of that is changed with this administration. So that's what I want to talk about. So what I'm going to talk about today is what are the things you need to have to make it more likely or increase your chances of having your marriage petition go through without you being called for an interview. Hi, Shabaz Ali. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. So let's start off by talking about what you need to show when you're putting your package together. Well, in a marriage-based petition, the crux, what USCIS is looking for is that it's a bona fide marriage, which means you entered into the marriage in good faith. Good faith means you wanted to marry your spouse for love, for companionship, for you meant for this marriage to last, for it to be you and your spouse together, right? Whether or not it lasts is different, but at the time you married your spouse, your intention must have been that you wanted it to be a real it's a good faith relationship, a good faith marriage, right? And so USCIS looks for certain things to determine whether a relationship is a bona fide relationship, right? And so so that's the first thing, right? Now, if you've been married before and you must have been divorced before you marry your current spouse, right? You have to show proof of a valid divorce. So if you don't have a valid divorce, it doesn't matter how bona fide your relationship is, because it means that that marriage is void because you were not properly divorced. And I say this to my Nigerian people: USCIS targets your divorce papers because they feel that it's they're not properly done, or they're fake or whatever. So you want to be careful when you're getting your divorce prepared, that it's been done by a competent lawyer in Nigeria. And if you're here, guess what? You can actually file your divorce right here. You don't have to have somebody in Nigeria prepare the divorce, okay? So that's really important. So the first thing is that you have to be in a place where you have to be eligible to marry a U.S. citizen, and you have to be eligible by showing that you have no unresolved divorce issues. So that's the first thing, right? And then, secondly, now the thing is, you have to provide this document that show that you are in a bona fide relationship. So USCIS has red flags. There's certain things that they look out for when evaluating a case. So if you get married really quickly, like you meet somebody within 3 months, you're married, that's a red flag, right? And I'm not saying that those marriages don't get approved. They do, but those are red flags. So if you get married very soon after you get divorced, soon as after you meet the person, I always encourage people to just make sure that you're loading up on those bona fides, the text messages that show that this was a whirlwind, love, love in the 2023 whatever. It was a whirlwind relationship. It was filled with a lot of passion or whatever. So it doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but it's a red flag. So those kind of cases, you really need to beef up on your bona fides, right? So let's talk about the things that you need to submit to impress USCIS, right? The first thing is combined finances. Nothing talks like money. USCIS believes that if you're commingling your resources, you're putting your money together, then it's more likely than not that it's a real relationship, right? So how do you show that your finances are commingled? Well, you have joint bank accounts. That's really helpful, right? Joint bank accounts, and that's why I say sometimes this process is a little unfair, because some people don't want to put their monies together just because money causes fights. But if you have an immigration petition, really you're going to have to get past it, because you don't want anything that points at your relationship as not being real. So you want to have a joint bank account with your spouse. the bank account should be one that both of you use for your household expenses, because USCIS is looking at an account that is being actively used. They're not looking at an account that has $300 balance and continues to maintain that balance from month to month. They want to see an account that maybe might have two debit cards and both debit cards are being used. They want to see an account that shows that you're paying your bills from it. They want an account that is truly active. That's helpful, right? They want you filing taxes together. I mean, sometimes you may not be able to file your taxes together because it's a new marriage. I get it. So if you don't have that, you don't have that. But as soon as you can, you want to make sure that you're filing your taxes together. And don't listen to the accountant who's going to tell you that, it might be cheaper. You'll get more money if you file separately. Don't do that, because USCIS doesn't care about that. They want to see that you guys are presenting yourself together as a couple, which means you should be filing as a couple, not single or married, filing separately, whatever. So you want to do that. Okay. Number 3, you want to show that you have joint credit cards, joint maybe Costco cards, joint gym cards, health insurance cards that names you as a beneficiary. Both of you have you share same health insurance. You have life insurance where your partner and both of you name each other as beneficiaries. Maybe you have a will, and what else? Auto insurance, home insurance, all that kind of stuff. Showing that both of you are together. If you live in an apartment, you want to have a lease that shows that both of you are tenants in that place. Now, sometimes you might not be able to sign a lease. At least you can be named as somebody who is who's resident in that apartment. And if you don't have that, you can have your landlord write a letter, or maybe the complex where you're renting from write a letter saying that you live there. Or if you're renting a room from somebody, the person could write a letter saying that both of you reside there, when you started residing there, how much you're paying for rent. And if you have those rent receipts, that's really helpful to submit. So those are proof of your financial life together. Now, USCIS wants to see that you live together, right? Is it true that some people are not able to live together for one reason or the other? Yes, but I have to tell you, that's a red flag. If you have 2 separate addresses, that's a red flag. And if you don't live together for whatever reason, you want to address it and explain to write a letter to whom it may concern to USCIS, put it as part of your package, where you explain that the reason you don't live together is because, hey, I'm in school in Georgia, and my spouse has a job in New Jersey. However, my intention is that when I finish school, I'm gonna move back to New Jersey, or my spouse is trying to find a job in Georgia, and once he gets a job, he'll whatever. You want to explain that up front, right? Because that helps your chances of not being called for an interview, right? Because you want to just allay all suspicions up front. So you want to show that you live together. And how do you show that? You want to show that you have utility bills in both your names, or at least utility bills, even if it's in different names, with the same address. Because sometimes one person might have the cable, another person might have the electricity, but you need to show that it's the same address. You want to see that your driver's license, if you have one, shows the same address. I know a lot of people get, I guess, lazy about going to renew their driver's license because nobody wants to deal with DMV and stand in a line for hours, But if you're filing an immigration petition, you really need to prioritize that again over your comfort, right? So if you've moved in together to a new residence, you need to change that, because I can tell you that a lot of times what happens is one spouse doesn't change the address because they just don't get around to it, and then maybe the day before the interview or the week before the interview, they go to DMV and change it. When a denial comes through, it's it will point to the fact that they didn't change the address until a week before the interview, because now it makes it look suspicious. It makes it look that like it was being done just for the purpose of the interview, right? So you want to just, address all these things up front so that it doesn't become a reason why USCIS looks at your relationship as if it's suspicious, or become a reason for why you're not one of the honored that get their interview waived. So what else? If you're proving that you live together, maybe you could get affidavits from your neighbors. You could get medical, records, bills from your medical provider, or whatever. Maybe your child's, something from your child in their school that shows that, this is the address that your child lives in, or your stepchild, and this is the address you live in. Basically, you just need to put the evidence together. Okay, USCIS loves it. Make it easy for them to see this. Don't expect them to figure it out for themselves, right? Now, what other things can you do to show that you lived, your marriage is bona fide? Well, do you have children together? That will be great if you have kids, or if you've been, you've had fertility treatments together, right? We all know how expensive fertility treatments are together. So if you're having, you're doing fertility treatments with your spouse, turn in the receipts, turn in some of, whatever notes you have from your doctor showing that. That's a really good, that covers the, the financial commingling, because it's expensive, and it also shows that you guys plan to live together. Now you want to show if you have medical records, school records, showing if you're a step parent, showing that you are listed as an emergency contact. That will be awesome as well for you guys. And what else? Proof that you live together. Maybe mail coming to the house. That's also great as proof of a bona fide marriage. Now, the other evidence, the other evidentiary category, I like to call this a slice of your life category. This is where you show USCIS. This is what we do. We like to travel on vacation. Here, this is proof. We like to go to the amusement park with our friends. Here, this is proof. We like to go watch shows. Here, this is proof. And a slice of your life requires you to have, show pictures, right? It's nice to see the pictures of whatever you're doing. You're going for barbecues, you're hanging out with family during Thanksgiving. This shows that you present yourself out to the public as a couple. USCIS loves that. So what is not as helpful is pictures of just both of you. I get people sending pictures of them in a bedroom. Don't do that. That is just rigged. It looks like rigged evidence. You want to show evidence of what you're doing with your lives. If you travel together on a road trip and you're taking pictures in key places, that's awesome. If you travel by air, by all means, submit the receipts, the tickets. If you're traveling by train, bring the tickets. That kind of stuff. You know what proof of a real relationship is. Make it easy for them to see the meat and potatoes of your relationship, right? Now, phone records, texting, that kind of stuff, especially maybe from when you were dating, that's also helpful. And I'm going to tell you something, it's more helpful for you to have pictures from when you were dating, through, maybe a picture for 1 month. If you dated for 10 months, 10 pictures, one each month, than to have 10 pictures from the month before the interview. That's really not, that looks suspect. Okay, especially in this day where everyone has a cell phone, everybody can take pictures. It's not like back in the day when you had to go get a Polaroid and get the pictures developed. So you have no excuse for not having pictures. And if you're one of those who say, "Oh, I lost my camera," if you're an immigrant, intended immigrant, back up your pictures. Okay, that's not an excuse anymore. Back up your pictures. All right, because it makes life easier for you when the officer has a sense that you have a real relationship. And of course, you can get affidavits from family members. the members, your U.S. citizen family members, the intending immigrants family members. Now, affidavits are they're not what we consider strong evidence because anybody can write an affidavit, you know. And one thing you should not do, I'm going to tell you right now, don't write those affidavits yourself and give it to your family members or friends to sign, because your tone, you can tell if it's written by the same person. I promise you, you can tell. I can tell, right? And if I can tell USCIS, who's been trained to figure these things out, they can tell. So tell the people that you love to, you know, do this for you. Write something with their own voice, their own experience, what, you know, what they know about you, how they came to know you guys as a couple, how they know that your relationship is genuine. Do they hang out with you guys? Do they come to your house? Do you guys go to church together? Do you travel together? You know, all that kind of information, you know, is really helpful. And then let's talk about social media. This is a big one, okay? Social media. USCIS looks through social media. I'm going to tell you this. And you have to be consistent with what you're telling them. If you're on social media and you're married and you haven't changed it from single to married, go do that now, because it's not an excuse to say I forgot. Or you're flirting with other people on social media, that's a problem. And I'm going to tell you that even people with green cards that have been, maybe they have a conditional green card that's been approved, cheating on your spouse can get your green card taken away from you because it leads them to suspect that maybe it was not a real relationship. So I'm giving you guys all the tea, you know, so that you can put in your application and hopefully get your green card approved without a USCIS interview. And now, finally, the one thing that you want to make sure that you have is your Form I-693. That's a medical form, right? In the past, we wouldn't submit the medical form because by the time USCIS would get to, you know, approving the case or reviewing the case and setting it up for an interview, the form would have expired because the I-693 has an expiration, but they've increased it now to 2 years. So if you want to get your marriage green card approved without a USCIS interview, a good thing to do is to do your I-693, do your medicals, and submit it with your application. Now, remember this: do not open the sealed envelope, okay? And USCIS is mandating that people take their COVID vaccines unless you qualify for a waiver, which is really difficult to get. So I think that's pretty much it, because I don't see any questions. But I just wanted to hop in here to tell you guys, if you're one of those who's thinking about whether or not you should put in your petition, this is a good time to do it, because like I said, USCIS is really trying to get a hold on this backlog, right? And so that's the reason they're doing this, because the backlog is ridiculous. There's so much delays, and the delays was, you know, partially caused by COVID. During that time, they were closed down, and when they were not closed, they were working at, I think, 60%. So they're really trying to whittle down on those the backlogs. So if you can, you know, if you're married and you want to apply for your marriage green card, go ahead and do it right now. Okay, do it right now, and take advantage of this policy, because it can change. Things have been changing in the past, gosh, how many years? I mean, immigration is like a mind full of change. So whenever something good is happening, you want to be a part of it and just get into it, okay? So I have a message from Karenan Mensa. Karenan Mensa from Instagram says, can a VAWA green card interview be waived? Karenan, yes, yes, yes. Last week, we got 5 VAWA green cards, all interview waived. Waived. So there is hope. If you filed a VAWA, you could also get your green card interview waived. Now, remember, the VAWA green card interview is not really, VAWA has no interview. It's the I-485 interview, which comes after your VAWA is approved. So when the VAWA is approved, the case is moved to the field office for an adjustment of status interview, right? And that adjustment of status interview is being waived now. We actually haven't had any client that has had to go for an interview recently. We're getting all our, green cards in the mail. And then I call the client, I'm like, guess what? We just got your green card, and they're happy and screaming and all that. So anyway, guys, I gotta run, but I will be with you guys another time, okay? Have a great weekend, everyone. Take care.